Hello there, it's Jan from JB Crafts. Welcome to the channel. I'm back today with another little construction project. I like to sort of alternate between card making and construction, whether that be boxes or gift bags or home decor, or sometimes just a combination of both, which is what I've got today for you. So I've left it closed just as I started the video, and I will open it up and show you what we're going to make today. But it is sort of a 3D card. So like I said, a little bit of each. So it's 6 by 6 or just under, a fraction under 6 by 6 when it's folded down. And you can see there's a little bit of bulk to it depending on how you decorate. So it may need a slightly gusseted envelope or a gift box to put it in. But when you open this up, it actually opens up to make a 3D cube card. So really simple to make. It looks a bit more sort of challenging than it actually is. When you see how it goes together, it's really simple. So we've got the tall cube at the back, and these are just under a fraction under 3 inches square, and the same for the front ones. And then the tall one is just a smidge under 6 inches, and these are just under 3 inches. So you could fold it flat this way and you'd end up with the just under 9 by 6, or these two fold up over the front and you've got that sort of, it's 5 7/8 square to be precise, so just under the 6 inches square. And again, you just pull these forward, stand it up, pop open the one at the back, and you've got that 3D element. So if I tip this forward, you can see that design from the front. So I've got some detail on here that just goes across the corner. We've got the happy and then birthday to you on that decorated front panel, and then just a little bit of decoration to link the two together here on the front, and then just some beautiful sort of embossed pieces here to match what I've got on the inside here. I don't know whether those are whether I can get those at the right angle for the camera, but just to split up the pattern papers and make the pattern papers go a bit further. And then I've got a slightly contrasting colour on the inside, and I'm really pleased with this. I don't know about where you guys are, but as I'm filming this, it is very gloomy here in the UK. That's the only word for it. It's very dull, it's very grey, it's very wet, really nasty at the moment. And I thought, do you know what, I want something nice and bright and cheerful. And yellow's not a colour that I reach for very often. It's probably the colour that I use least. It's not particularly a colour that I have around me. I don't wear yellow very often. I don't have yellow in my home decor. I don't know why, because it's such a beautifully cheerful colour. Reminds me of spring days to come and summer. I thought, right, let's dig out the yellow, and we've sort of complemented that with gold. I've got some gold mirror card, which again, I normally opt for the satin finish on the mirror card rather than the shiny, but I thought, you know what, I'm going to go all out today in making this a really nice, sort of cheerful, bright project. And it could be done for any occasion. I've chosen to put a happy birthday greeting on mine, but you could do this for any occasion. Now, it's not my design, I will say that now. I've seen lots of these on YouTube and on Pinterest and things like that. There are lots of people have made them. I just wanted to do my version of it for the channel, and I will expand on this in future. You can go taller here, you can add extra boxes. So I've seen them done with 3 tiers, different shapes and sizes. So we will revisit this in future and look at it again, but for today I just wanted that basic design. So let's get into the tutorial. I'll pop that one over to one side, and we're going to make the boxes first. So we're going to make one box that is 5 7/8 square, okay, and then we've got one well, 2 pieces that are just 2 7/8. Sorry, this one's 5 3/4, this one's 2 7/8, which is the halfway mark between the 5 3/4. So I've chosen my base cardstock, and that was that beautiful kind of I don't know, really nice warm yellow tone there. And this piece measures 12 inch across here by 5 3/4 tall. So this is going to be the tall piece that goes in the back. So I'm going to bring in my large scoreboard for this one because it is 12 inches across. And I need my score tool and my burnishing tool. And I've popped the score lines on here. So I'll pop these up at the top here. We're going to score the same we need 3 pieces of cardstock. I'll bring the other 2 pieces in a second. But we're going to score across here, making those 2 7/8 inch columns, okay, all the way down. So on the long side, the first score is going to be at 2 7/8, all the way down that long side. Nice score line in there. And then we want to double that. So the double is going to be the 5 3/4 mark. That's our halfway mark. Then we're going to add on another 2 7/8, which takes us to 8 5/8. And then the last one will be 11.5. And you should just end up with that 1/2 inch that we're going to make a glue tab from to fold it all together. So the score lines are not easy to see on here, but we've got 4 columns that each measure 2 7/8 in width. And then you've got that 5 3/4 inch depth on there. So put that one to one side a minute, and then you're going to need 2 more pieces that measure 12 by 2 7/8. Okay, so I've got my 2 more pieces here, and we're going to score those in exactly the same place. So just to pop through those score lines again, I've scored at 2 7/8 for the first section, at 5 3/4, 8 5/8, and 11.5 to make the little 1/2 inch glue tab on the end. So that's our scoring done for now. Okay, so we can pop that scoreboard away. Oh, just before I finish that, we just need this little piece to score as well. I've got a little tiny piece here that measures 3 inches by about 3/4. It's just a scrap, and I've scored that at 1/2 inch and 1 inch, and then again at 2 inches and 2.5. And this is going to be how we fasten this mechanism, little mechanism to fasten the piece on the front there. So we'll come back to that one in a little while. So that's my scoring complete. So what we need to do now is burnish all these folds. So what I've done with these, often if I'm making a glue tab, I actually just cut the corner off at an angle. But all I did with this one, I thought, you know, I've got it out at the side of me, is I've just used my corner rounder, and on that side that had the 1/2 inch tab left, oops a daisy, that one's not done very well, but we get the idea. Just straighten that off a little bit. I didn't quite get that in straight, but it's basically just taking that corner off so that when we fold it, it's not going to have any pieces in the way. So I'm going to start off with that long one, fold and burnish, and these are all going to be mounting folds. So I'm folding away from where we've just burnished. And like always, I've said this many times, when you're making anything that's 3D construction, make sure that when you fold, everything lines up nice and straight. If you're just slightly off with your scoring, sometimes when you fold it across, these lines don't line up very well. So yeah, you just want to make sure that everything matches as straight as you can, and then when we come to put it together, it's going to work nicely. So this one's going to stick together like so, which gives us that tall tower for the back of our card. And then we're going to do the same with this one. So we're going to do the mounting folds along all of those score lines, and then just burnish them in place again, making sure, as I say, that everything folds nice and even. And that last one there for the glue tab. And then again, you can see we've got the shorter one that's going to fit on the front there. So we'll do the same with that last one. So just fold and burnish all those lines, just securing everything in place, teaching that card what we want it to do and where we want it to remember the fold lines, and then that little glue tab on here. Okay, so we've got the 2 shorter pieces and the long piece, and they're all folded in the same place. You can see there they've all got that same dimension. It's just the height that's different on them. So we're going to stick those together and get those going. So I'm going to use my quick grab glue, just because it dries a little bit faster than the all-purpose. So either of those would work. If you prefer your tape, you can use a dry double-sided tape or a tape runner. I'm just going to fold this in half and fold this one, and these should match up to make sure that it folds flat. So both ways, make sure that this piece actually folds flat. And we'll leave that one to dry. And then I'm going to do the same with the smaller ones. So just on the little glue tab that we made, add my glue, and then fold it flat, fold it over, give it a press, and then make sure it folds flat the other way as well. And that will help when we come to fold all the card up when you want to pop it in an envelope. So again, on that third tab, fold it down and fold it in. And that's why it's essential to make sure that everything's running nice and straight. And then fold it back the other way, and you should have all those pieces then fastened together. So I am going to pop this together so that you can see the main construction, and then we'll get on to the decoration. Okay, so it's up to you where you have your sort of piece, your folded piece. I'm actually going to put mine to the back because I'm going to decorate the two sides of this. It will sort of fit at an angle like so. So I'm going to put my pieces on the inside so it covers the tab. And then this one, I'm actually going to bring where the tab fits to the front here, like so. In fact, no, I'm not. I'm telling fibs. I'm going to pop it to the bottom at the front. There we go. And the same with this one, where the tab is, to the bottom at the front, because we're going to pop some pieces inside here as well. Okay, so what I might do actually is pop the inside pieces in first so that we can see where they're going to go. So I've got lots of mats and layers at the ready, and again I've got a list of what we actually need. I'll come back to that little piece in a second. So let's just pop those to one side for a minute. So mat layers, we are going to need to do 2 5 5/8 by 2 3/4. So that's my back mat layers that are going to fit inside the box. And then on the front of there, we need a layer, whether I've chosen to do a piece of embossed card, it could still be pattern paper, it could be an ink background, whatever you want to do stenciled on there. I've just chosen some really nice cream card and embossed it with one of my floral embossing folders. So anything you've got will work for this. And the mat layer is just that 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it is 5 1/2 by 2 5/8, and they are going to fit in the back of that tall column, because those are the bits that we're going to see when the cube opens out. Okay, and then we need some pieces to go inside the smaller cube as well, and again we're going to do the back of it and the base of it, and the base one's going to cover up where we've joined. So I've got another 4 pieces, and this is of my paper of choice, and these measure 2 3/4 inches. Let me just move that one out of the way a minute. 2 3/4 inches square. So I've got 4 pieces, and these are going to slide inside the base and inside the back there, like so. So this is the front, this is the top, this is the back, which I'm going to stick to the tall column, and this is the base that's going to sit on the floor. So let's start and pop some of these in so that we know where they're going to go. Okay, so I am going to use my all-purpose glue for this. It is a really good strong glue. It adds strength to the finished design when it dries. So we just need to make sure that that end's not dried over there. It's been stubborn today. There we go. So pop these out again, and I've just got 2 pieces that have got a bit of a gradient on, so I'm going to make sure that that orangey sort of yellow colour is to the back corner. So again, just a bit of glue on here, and I find, to be honest, you know that I'm a lover of the wet glue, but when you're doing anything like this, it allows you to just work and slide things into place. So I'm just going to pop that into the bottom. If we mark here that this is the front, just to give you, this is the front and this is the top. Okay, so this is the bit that we're going to stick to the column, and then the base is the piece that we're going to sit it all on. So all I've done is just wriggled that one into place, and I'm going to do the same with all 4 of these pieces. So again, just a little bit of that wet glue, and I wanted those sort of orangey yellow pieces to meet in that back corner. So these are just 1/8 of an inch smaller, so it gives a very narrow margin around the edge. But I'm hoping that you can see in the back there that we've got one in the base, one in the back. This is going to be the top, this is going to be the front, so it's going to stick together like so. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. Okay, so again, pop this one in the base, and I want that orangey bit to go towards the back. So my tabs here that we stuck it together, that one slides in there, and it's going to cover up all the workings of how everything fits together. And then the last one is going to go in the back. And again, I want that sort of yellowy orange to meet in that back corner, because that's the bit that's most visible when it's open. Excuse me. So yeah, got all those in now. You can just, I'm hoping that you can see that. It's not the easiest to show you inside something when it's on camera. And those are going to sit on there. So again, we'll do the same with this one. We'll put that this is the front, this is the top, and this is the bit that's going to stick to the box. So if I just pop those together for a second, and we will do the same with those two panels that we created for the back. So again, I'm going to stay with my wet glue just so that I've got that movement to stick them inside. I've got my tab here at the back. I'm going to slide that one inside and just wriggle it into place so that I've got an equal border all the way around. So I'm hoping that you can see in there now where that one's stuck. My tab was here. This is where we've joined it together, and then the other one is going to go adjacent to it, so that these are the two that we'll see when we open up that design. So this one's going to slide down this side. Now you can do this before you stick the box together if you wish. I just think when you've put it together, normally I would advocate putting things together while they're flat. But I think with something like this, it shows you exactly whereabouts you want things to sit if you've got it put together. So this is the front. We're going to do that stick in here and here. And it's going to stand with those two embossed pieces showing at the back there. So let those dry for a second, and I'll show you the other mats and layers that we've got. So we also need 6 pieces. So we're going to do 1 each for the front, 1 each for the top, and 1 each for the taller column. And these are all the same size. So they are going to be a 2 3/4 inch square mat. So 2 3/4 inches, and I chose the gold mirror card. And then a 2 5/8 inch layer. And I've just chosen some paper. It was a nice cheery bright one. This was from my old sunflower collection from Crafter's Companion, but it's got some really nice sort of bright yellows and things in there. So it was one that went nicely with my chosen cardstock. And we're going to mat these together. Now, just a note on the mirror card. I don't actually like using my wet glue on the mirror card just because it can affect the surface. So what I'm going to do is pop a couple of lines of double-sided tape. I would always go for my wet glue unless it's for a reason. So like I say, the mirror card doesn't play nicely with the solvent-based glue. So just a couple of strips of that double-sided tape, and then I'm going to take one of those off, and then I'm going to line up the other side. So this is the side that isn't sticky, so I can get that positioned in place here, check the margins, and then pop down the side that's got the sticky on, and then I can just pop underneath there and lift the liner off that second piece, and everything is good to go. So we've got our little piece there. So I have got 4 from my pattern paper. Okay, so I've got 2 that I'm going to put on the fronts and 2 for the top section like this. And then I've recreated the embossed panels like we put in the back, and those are going to go. So I've got pattern paper, embossed layer, pattern paper, and I'm going to recreate that same design. So these are going to go in the middle here. So that's my 6 sets of 2 3/4 inch mats and 2 5/8 inch layers on there. So that's what we need for the rest of it. Now I'm going to start and stick some of the other pieces together before we put these on. So now we've got these in place, we've got our little crosses that we're going to match up. So here and here, and these are going to stick onto that front panel. And again, I'm going to use my all-purpose glue. I know that it dries nice and strong, and all I need to do is pop glue on the section that's got the cross on. So I'm going to add the glue on there, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to squish this flat and squish this one flat, and then I'm going to match up that bottom corner here. So I want to make sure that everything's running nice and straight and that it matches along this bottom edge, and then give that a good press into place. And then I am going to pop my block on that just for a second, and we're going to do the same with this one. So the area that's got the cross on, and this is why it's worth marking the different sides so that you know where you're working and that you don't end up with anything in the wrong place. And I still do this. It's not just for the, you know, the benefit of the tutorial. I do this if I'm working myself because I want to make sure that I'm sticking it together right. Okay, so again, I'm going to fold it flat with the cross at the bottom, and this one's going to stick on the other side. And again, they should meet nicely in the middle there. And again, the beauty of having the wet glue means that you can enable everything to be straight. Add some pressure, and then I'm just going to pop my block on that bottom half there. I don't want to move it about yet until that glue started to cure, but because I've marked this, I know that these are the front sections of my box. So I'm going to put the mats on here for those 2 front sections. Okay, and this is the right orientation. It's going to go this way. These are going to pull forward when we actually put it up. These bits that we can see underneath here are the base of the box. So while we've got that going, I'm going to put these on the front there. And again, like I said, wherever possible, that wet glue's your friend, because you can just wriggle everything into place. And there is only a really narrow border around the edge there, and the same with this one. So because we've only cut it 1/8 of an inch border, you're talking about a 1/16 of an inch, which is not a lot, but I wanted to utilize the space to see the patterns rather than the base card. The base card was for the structure, and then I want these lovely pattern papers and things to sort of speak for the rest of it. So again, there you can just see where I'd moved it slightly, but that wet glue allows me to wriggle it into place. So when we bring this forward now, I'm going to bring these all the way down, and I'm going to apply some pressure again here because this is the bit that we stuck to the background. I'm going to pop my block on these 2, and I've now got the top sections. So the tops are what I'm referring to here, and then there was the longer section up here. So we're going to do the embossed pieces next on here. And again, I don't think there is a right or wrong way with my embossing folder. I don't think it matters. It's an all over floral pattern. If it has got an orientation, just make sure that this is the top and this is the bottom. So if it has got an orientation, it wants to be facing up to the top there. So again, I'm going to pop those in those squares like so. Again, you've still got that same little border all the way around. And then this one on here. So that one's all nice and square there. And then above there, you should have the 2 spaces left that we're going to pop our final pieces in. Okay, so when this is laid flat like so, you can see those 1, 2, 3 pieces in that right orientation. But just before I stick these down, I want to hide my little mechanism underneath here. So what I'm going to do is bring in that tiny little piece that we had, which measured 3 inches by 3/4 of an inch, and I scored at 1/2 inch, okay, and I'm going to fold the first one in a valley fold, so I'm bringing it up towards me. The next one's a mountain, the third one's a mountain, and the fourth one's a valley. So you're going to end up with a little piece, and I'm just going to burnish that so that, again, teaching that cardstock what we want it to do, because you want this to remain sort of springy, and you've got a piece that looks like so. All right, and this is actually going to create that flat surface here for us to put our greeting on. So just in the back there, you can see this is trapped under the panels so that it's all nice and neat, but it folds flat, but when we pop it up, it allows that piece to pop forwards. Okay, so again, because this is going to be really well used with the opening and closing, on the back of those little tabs, I'm going to put some red line tape on here and then trim that one. So this is on those very last edges. I'll open it out again in a second and show you where we've put it. And again on this side, this is what's going to stick to the background. Trim that one. And then I'm also going to put a piece of my red line tape just in that centre portion here, which was that inch in the middle there. And I want to put a piece on the front. So I'll show you that. I'll open it out and show you exactly where I've put the pieces. So we started off with that 3-inch piece. Where we created the 1-inch gap in the middle, I've put my tape. And then on the back, I've popped it on these two ends. And then what we're going to do, we'll take off the liner. Just make sure that tape's not overlapping in any places. We don't want that to stick to bits that it shouldn't. So just get rid of the liner off there. Fold back any bits that happen to have come over the edge. And then we're going to pop this. Oh, I've got very friendly liner now. Leave me alone. There we go. So what I want to do now, I'm just going to flip this on its side. And with my ruler, I'm just going to mark the halfway. So this is all but 3 inches. It's not far off 3 inches. So I'm going to mark at the 1.5 inch line here across that little fold so that I've got a visual on where the middle is. So I'm back in the right orientation. These are the pieces that are going to go on here. And then what I want to do is fold this up. Let me move these out of the way for a second. And I'm going to stick this either side. So this fold inside here, I'm going to centre it and I'm going to stick it right up to that score line. I'll do it this way, you can see what I'm doing there. So I'm just going to centre it where that pencil line is, just up to the edge of the score line. I can still see my score line here. And then I'm going to fold it back together and I'm going to do the other one to line it up at the other side, like so. Okay, so we'll give those a burnish to make sure that they're nice and secure in place. And then you've got that piece, that little flat piece should be facing you now. And that's the bit that's going to pop out when we open the box. So now we've got that in place, I can actually add my other 2 panels onto that top piece. So again, we've got the 5th one. And just be aware that this is the top. So if it has got any kind of direction on your paper, it wants to face that way. So that's the first one. And that's my last one. So that one's going to slot. And I've covered the tab that we've stuck down. So the only piece that's showing now is the little front portion. Okay, that should just rock from side to side while it's flat like this. So I'm just going to leave that to dry for a second. Pop that block on there for a second. move that one out of the way for a minute, and then I'll show you my embellishments, because I've made a series of bits and pieces to go on the top there. So I've got a couple of little pieces to go on the front, so a couple of sort of little horizontal pieces, and they were made just using some of my washi tape. I've just stuck this over some scrap card and then mounted it on a little piece of the gold to keep it all in keeping. And they're approximately, I would say, around about 3/4 of an inch wide. My washi tape was 5/8, and then I've just gone up again to about 3/4 of an inch, and they're the same width as my panels. If I just bring you this over, you can see here we're going to pop these on the front like so. Okay, in fact, we'll get those stuck down. So again, I'm just going to use my embellishment glue for this. It dries a little bit quicker than the all-purpose glue. And again, I want to come up about the same width as the actual panel that we're putting on. So that one's going to stick here. And then I'm going to do the same at the other side. So a little bit of the embellishment glue. And then this one will run parallel here with that one, so that I've got a roughly the same distance at the bottom as the actual panel itself. And this was just to add a little bit of interest on those front panels. And then I have already done my happy. So this is just a stamp from my stash that I've done with clear embossing ink and gold embossing powder, and melted it to give that lovely embossed finish on there. Got a little tiny butterfly out of some scrap that was left over from the paper, and then we're going to do happy birthday to you. So this is just using some dies from my stash. Again, I did leave them out. I've got the ovals here that created the main feature, and then I've got a scallop which I've done in vellum and a circle in the cream for the happy birthday to you. And then I've done a couple. I had this out the other day when I was making a card and really liked the little button. So it's a star, but it's got some thread popped through the middle to make it look like a button. And then I've used a little one there to create 3 little stars just as extra embellishment. So we've got one, and these are just dies. I have these out most of the time. At the side of me where my desk is, I've got a couple of long strips of magnetic tape that I've got stuck to the side of the cabinet, and things like the stars, the butterfly, the dies are stuck to there because I reach for them so often. So all we're going to do is decorate now then. So I think that will have done its job. So again, I'm going to keep it flat. I'll show you how this all works. It folds up like this to go in your envelope. So you can see we've got that original 5 3/4 inch square. This should fit in a shop bought 6-inch envelope. And then it just folds down here, and then you tweak it together, and you've got that lovely shape. It's so simple when you see how it fits together, and yet you've got a real sort of you know, crowd pleaser when it goes out on display. Somebody would display this possibly even as home decor afterwards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep it in this orientation. I find it easier to work like this because I know everything is the right way. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove the tape off here, and we're going to add our happy part of it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and center this. So I'm going to look top and bottom and either side and see that I've got around about an equal distance there, and give that a press. And that's why I use the red line tape, because this is the bit now when we push is going to pop. So if I do that from the top where you can see when we push it, this bit comes out flat on that little hinge that we made. So that's the top piece. I'm going to skip these. I just want these to be my embossed panels. Again, if I bring you this one back in, you can see here we've got the happy, the 2 embossed panels, and the rest of the detail is on the front there. So this one is going to go on this side here. So the happy birthday. And again, I'm just going to use a little bit of my embellishment glue across the front there and position this one just slightly to one side. Okay, so a little tiny bit left over there on the side, but I just want that to be off to one side rather than, we're going to create that triangle again, you know, that sort of 3 points to catch the eye. And then the rest of it is just decoration. So I have got a couple of little foam pads on the back of here. I say a couple, it's one that I've just cut in half because they were such tiny little pieces. I just take the backers off those, and I am going to add, as always, the little bit of wet glue. And because I've sealed my gold thread with red line tape, I may as well take the backer off there and use that to help with the stick. So we'll take that piece off as well. And then this one is going to go just off to one side here, like so. Sort of go round the birthday bit just to encompass that. And then I'm going to put one of the little stars just to one side there. Again, we've got that trio of items. So not only are we creating that triangular effect here, I've got the little trio going on here. And then I'm going to do the same with this one. I have got the piece of tape that secured my thread on the back. I've also got one little foam pad on this one because it's going to stick slightly off here. So this one's actually going to go, I'm just having a look what I did on the other one there. This one's going to go slightly further up, which is why I put the foam pad under the top there. And then we're going to add one of the small stars and another one down here. And just to create, again, that little trio on this side. Okay, so that's my embellishing. And that is actually the project pretty much finished. So again, once we're ready, we can bring these two up to make them 3D. We can stand it up, and then if you just split those apart, it automatically opens that back piece up. So if I show you from the front, you've got this kind of effect. You've got the detail on there and its little trio. The little trio at this side, and then you've also got that 1, 2, 3, bringing everything together. Got that beautiful embossed detail just to break up the pattern paper, and then like I said, it all folds reasonably flat. Okay, it's not too deep. It would fit in an envelope, this, or as I say, you can make an envelope that's got a slight depth to it, or you could put it in a gift box. Some people make a little belly band to go around them. I've seen them just wrap with ribbon and put into a gift box or bag, and then it's fairly obvious how it works. It won't stand up like this, so it's fairly obvious that you need to give it a little squeeze so that it stands up. And the only thing that I added, as always, to that finished example were a few extra pearls. So I've put a couple up here to create that 1, 2, 3 on the top, and then I've added 3 on the sentiment and a couple on this left hand side. So that was the only thing that I'd done differently. And then on the back of this one, I added a couple of extra panels that you could either stamp a greeting or you could write a message. It just sort of finished it off nicely, and they measure the same as those inside gold panels do. So they will be 5 5/8 by 2 3/4 for the cream panels. You could put decorative pieces on here. You could mat them on the gold again if you wish. As I say, you could stamp sentiments on here. You could write your message on here, or you could just use it as a finishing touch, however you prefer. But that's my design for today. Hope you've enjoyed that one. It was one that I wanted to pop on the channel. Like I say, it's not my own design. It's been done many, many, many times in lots of different dimensions. And like I said earlier, we will revisit this at a future date, and we'll look at expanding it to make it an even bigger kind of eye-catching piece. Maybe different dimensions at that point. So yeah, that's my little cube card that folds down flat, fits in a 6 by 6 inch envelope, and I hope, even if it's gloomy where you guys are today, I hope it's cheered you up with that lovely bright yellow. I'm quite pleased that I managed to use the yellows and actually make something that I was happy with, because like I say, it's not my go-to colour, but I do think it looks really, really nice with the cream and the yellow tones from the paper pad. So if you've enjoyed that, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber to the channel. If you are, thank you for your continued support. It does make such a difference, and I will be back very soon with another tutorial. So enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye now.